Oh man, I love it. New platform, everything seems to be working great. So ecstatic, I'm totally ecstatic that I'm able to come to you guys again, start doing these lives, get the software back to where it needs to be, and make things happen. The good news is the Power Sport Academy is also owned by Mañana No Mas. Mañana No Mas is a digital marketing firm. And so, because we are so entrenched in digital marketing and all that stuff that goes with business, we have access to a lot of tools. Now, sometimes that's been a distraction. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it's been a little bit of a distraction where we've been able to, try this and try that, shiny bauble thing. But for the most part, we have been able to create 6 wonderful courses, live trainings, let people train from home instead of having to hop on planes, trains, or automobiles to try and get to a training course. And we've been able to positively affect dealerships with cash flow in the most amazing ways. And so that takes me to my message today. And I'm just going to get straight to it. I was doing some training last week. I was working with a dealer. I'm not going to lie, man. They are shiny on the outside. They look good. They smell good. Their business is strong. I've seen their numbers. Their business is strong. Like most people would look at this dealership and they would say, man, they don't even need the training. They got it, right? And when you talk to the owners, it's a pair of owners. They're partners. When you talk to the owners, man, they look good, smell good, cleaned up, speak well, all those things. And so I want to touch this from this perspective. I want to make sure that I am absolutely clear that they're amazing. Like, they were amazing before we even got started with them. So I want to be super, super clear about that. They were amazing before we got started with them. This is a shout out to all these dealer owners that are like, well, our service department's already busy, so I don't know what else you could do for us. Or, sales is doing fine. We seem to be having a decent year. Everybody's down. When I talk to owners and they say things like, well, everybody's down, or we're doing okay, or what, it breaks my heart a little bit on the inside, because I know what's possible. And here's what I identified in that training that I did with that shiny, beautiful, wonderful dealership. Even though they were shiny, wonderful, and beautiful, and their numbers look strong on spreadsheets, we were able to identify large growth areas. Now, I want you to imagine this. We're talking about a dealership that's doing millions of dollars in revenue, not, some mom and pop shop up in a mountain town somewhere. We're talking about a major dealership doing great numbers, looking wonderful on a spreadsheet. And as I started the training with them, I'm not going to lie, I feel it's very important that I'm transparent with you guys. I thought to myself, well, what value am I going to give these guys? Here's where the biggest difference happened. There was no roadblock with these guys. There was no false sense of pride. There was no false sense of accomplishment. I mean, they were literally like, we're here to learn. Like, we know you're the expert and we're here to learn. And that, I just got to be honest with you, it was refreshing. It was totally refreshing. Because a lot of people come to training like, yeah, you're supposed to be the expert, but we already know what we're doing. Like, that happens a lot, right? So, shiny, beautiful, profitable, lots of revenue on the spreadsheet, comes to training, says, we're here to learn. And I did what any good consultant should do. I said, well, let's dive in. All right. Now, we've got scheduled sessions that we do. We've got a curriculum, right? We've got courses people can walk through. And so as we're working through things, we begin to realize, wait a minute, this big, beautiful, wonderful dealership doesn't have a functional CRM. They don't have a functional customer resource management tool. So they've got a great customer history. Their dealer communication system might have a collection of names and emails, maybe even some addresses, right? But they're not leveraging a CRM tool the way a business should leverage a CRM tool. And let me be more clear about this. A CRM, a customer resource management tool. A lot of people, like when I say CRM at the dealer level, some people get it, some people don't. A functional CRM tool should allow you to manage your customer list. Your customer list is, names, emails, phone numbers, addresses, and you should be able to manage that list. You should be able to break them into sections, right? Who bought? Almost more importantly, who didn't buy? Okay? So who bought, who didn't buy, what did they buy? Are they a wholesale parts customer? Are they a service customer? Are they a sales customer? Are they a combination of any of those? What did they say yes to in the F&I department? Okay? These are all important things to know, because when you're working on a marketing plan, you can go through the data and then you can say, oh, look at this. 22% of the people in our CRM bought an additional product in the F&I process. So now we know that we can leverage our F&I department a little bit better. All right, these are things that are all going to help you to grow. Big, shiny, beautiful, profitable, lots of revenue dealership didn't have a functional CRM tool. So within the first week, we're like, we got to get you hooked up on a functional CRM tool. This just has to happen. And through the process of talking about the CRM tool, we found out they followed up with everybody that bought from them, but they didn't follow up with people that didn't buy from them. Think about that. If you're in business, you have a certain customer acquisition cost. Like, take all of your marketing dollars and divide that by the number of people that walk through your showroom door. That's your customer acquisition cost, long and short, like a very simplified version of that. It's usually a lot of money. It could be $1,200, $1,500, $1,800. Like for some dealers, it might be $2,000 value for every lead that walks through the door. So if you start putting revenue on top of things, it starts to have real value. So picture this. Let's just say 15 people a month come into the store, look at something, interested in purchasing something, interested in the product, but they're not quite there in the pipeline yet, right? Buying a major capitalized purchase is a decision process. It could take a month, 3 months, a year, 2 years for someone to make their goal. I'll just be honest with you. I would love to go to a dealership tomorrow and buy a brand new Ducati. I am interested in buying a brand new Ducati. I would love to have a brand new Ducati. In fact, there's a couple of models coming out with Ducati that I'm very excited about. But I can't just run down to the dealership on a whim, stroke a check, and bring home one, right? Contrary to what you all might think I make out there, I'm not in that position. I can't just run down to the dealer whenever I want, stroke a check, and pick one up. But I can visit the dealer, and I can start getting the information, right? Hey, I saw this model advertised. I know that it's coming. Do you guys have a release date? Do you know when it's going to be here? Blah, 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 right? When I go into the dealership and ask those questions, they should be taking down my information, putting me in a CRM, and tagging me as interested in such and such a model. And then when they get the release date from the factory, I should get an email that says, hey, great news. We just got a release date from the factory. We should have that model on the floor to show you on such and such a day. We're going to do a dealership unveiling. We're going to have people in for, a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, some hot dogs, hamburgers, prime rib, like whatever. And we're going to unveil this new model. We'd love to have you come down, right? That's how that kind of stuff should happen, because the value of me going in there in the first place, the dealership's already paid to prospect me, right? So once I get there, they should seize that opportunity and leverage it. This particular dealership wasn't doing that. And so how many people stopped in to look at product at their dealership, didn't make the purchase decision on the spot, and then never got followed up with, never got an email, never got an SMS, never got, a text, phone call, nothing. Okay? So then the customer goes, well, let's check out some other dealerships. Let's check out some other brands. Like, hey, if we're going to spend this kind of money, maybe we should look at the competition too and see if the service isn't a little bit better. The customer doesn't realize they weren't followed up with necessarily, but they know there's a disconnection, right? And so I'm really big on relationship over transactions. If we're focused on transactions only, we got to work our butts off to get them, and a lot of times it doesn't work out. If we focus on the relationships, transactions seem to happen all on their own. It's amazing, right? So these are the things I'm talking about with dealers when I'm training them. I need to train them on the things they don't necessarily want to hear. I'm not doing this training so I can give you an echo chamber and tell you how brilliant you are and how wonderful your business is. I'm doing this training so I can help you pick up the millions of dollars that you're leaving on the floor of your showroom, right? And that's not an exaggeration. We have been working with dealers over the last couple of years, and I've been noting like who and what. Like, what did you change and what was the result? I'm going to give you another what did you change, what was the result situation. And this was an example of training the person didn't want to hear. Okay? And I'll end this today with this, okay? This story is worth the price of admission. And I think, where are we? Yeah, we're still going. Okay, good. If you have any comments, feel free to pop them into the comments. If I'll see them come up and give you a response. And if you watch the replay, put the comments in, I'll still get a notification, right? I can respond to you. When somebody is running a service department, a lot of times it's fight or flight mode. A lot of times the service department gets out of control, if we're just being honest. The technicians feel rushed, harried, they're not getting work done properly, parts aren't coming in correctly, wrong parts are given to the technicians, things are getting disassembled, but we don't have the right stuff to reassemble them, so now we've got things taking up space. We've got customers calling and ringing the phone off the hook. Some people are trying to bring in new work. Some people are trying to check on existing work. Hey, I haven't heard from anybody in 5 days. What's going on with my whatever, right? What's going on with my boat, my jet ski, my UTV, my sport bike? Like, I dropped off my toy. Tell me what's going on with my toy. I want to use it this weekend, right? This is all going on. Then the sales manager comes back. Hey, I need these 5 units for Saturday, right? Or I need these 5 units today, right? Parts comes back and you go, hey, I thought you said we were going to have these parts today. Oh, yeah, they're on back order, right? Mayhem, absolute mayhem. And so when I'm talking and training these service managers, they're telling me that's the work environment. I'm talking to them and they're talking back. We are having a conversation that this is the work environment. No, it's not. It's not the work environment. This is the environment that you allowed to be created. Now, this is the training people don't want to hear. I'm not going to give you the echo chamber like, oh, you're a product of your environment, poor you. No, this is a product of the environment you created or that you allowed to persist. And so through our training, we go through like, hey, what's the service sales funnel? What does your service process map look like? What does the day in the life of a service manager look like? If you're telling me it's arguing with technicians, fighting with customers, trying to correct your service managers, and disappointing the sales department, folks, I don't know how you're not having a heart attack. I don't know. We see it all the time, right? We get hooked on booze. We leave our wives. We're doing God knows what because we're so internally unhappy at what we've chosen to do for a living. And to be honest with you, we kind of suck at it. And nobody ever taught us the right way. I discovered the right way by accident. I'm being very honest with you. I can't believe how transparent I'm being here. I discovered the right way on accident. I got into the service business. The guy that was supposed to train me immediately went out on medical leave. And just by happenstance, I was like, I've got a ton of retail experience. I guess I'm going to figure out how to do this. And at first, I pissed off all the technicians while trying to make the customers happy, right? What happened? Well, the technicians didn't make any of the customers happy. They were still pissed off, right? Then I tried to make the technicians happy. What happened? Customers got pissed off, right? So I had to figure out, okay, what's the blend here? What makes this work? And then I came up with things like the service sales funnel, the service process maps, and a day in the life of a service manager and what it should look like. So I coach that to people. Let's cover one thing. One thing. I tell service managers in training that if the phone rings, you should be happy to pick it up. It's a new sale. If the phone rings, you should be happy to pick it up. It's a new sale. Every time I say that, they look at me and they go, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. If you run your department correctly, it is. Because all the existing work that's in your shop, you have proactively contacted every customer and they know exactly what's going on with their vehicle. If you do that, I want you to think of the math. So this is what I do with my people in class. I give them math, okay? I ask them, if you pick up the phone, call the customer and tell them that their motorcycle's not done yet, but you'll let them know when it is, right? Hey, just want to let you know, we're still in process on your unit. It's not complete yet. I just want to make sure this is a good number I can reach you on later when we finish it. How long does that call take? 90 seconds. 90 seconds. You call them. They didn't call you. You call them. You're in control of the call. You say, this is the purpose of the call. I just want to keep you educated. I want to make sure it's good to give you a call later if I need to. If I can't reach you for something, is it okay to do some work, with an extended approval? Like I'm trying to pre-sell and I'm taking care of my customers proactively. So every day, as a service manager, I know what customers need to be contacted proactively so that they're not calling into the dealership. Think about the other side of the coin. If we wait for the customer to call and check on the status for us, if we wait for the customer to call us, how long is that phone call? It ain't 90 seconds. I got to check on my motorcycle. Hold on, let me check with the technician. You put them on hold. You walk around the dealership. The tech tells you parts screwed up. Then you got to go to the parts department. Then you come back 6, 7, 8 minutes later. You pick up the phone. If the customer's still on hold, are they happy? No, they're pissed. The parts guys are pissed. The technician's pissed. Everybody's pissed because you're interrupting them to get information that you should already know. I'm just being honest with you, right? This is how we run our businesses in real life. So bear with me as I go through this quickly, right? So if we wait for the call to come in, the customer's in control. And in order to satisfy the customer, we interrupt the technician, we interrupt the parts person, we leave them on hold, we get back on the phone. Now they're pissed, so they're in control and they're pissed. Now they're asking extra questions. Well, what do you mean they got the wrong part? When's the right part going to come in? Is it going to be back ordered too? How do I know it's going to happen? How long does this call take? Well, this call takes 12 minutes, 15 minutes. And we've pissed off 3 people in the process. If I made that proactive call that was 90 seconds long, who did I piss off? Nobody. All I did was make everybody happy and spread sunshine and make an emotional deposit. Okay? I teach a whole thing on emotional deposits versus emotional withdrawals. So if I make the outgoing call, it's an emotional deposit. If the customer has to call me, it's an emotional withdrawal. And think about this. If I got 15 customers, just 15 customers, if I make those outgoing phone calls, it's going to take me a half an hour. If I have to deal with the incoming 15 phone calls instead of making the outgoing calls, if I have to deal with the incoming phone calls, I'm looking at 2.5 to 3 hours per day. Folks, that's 12 hours a week. Okay? So think about that. It's 12 and a half hours a week. That's 625 hours a year. Now, I want you to do this. I want you to think of your shop rate. This is how I put dollars on things. If your shop rate is $160, let's pick that, right? That seems to be a good number nowadays. So let's go here, calculator, 625 hours times $160. Folks, that is $100,000. That's $100,000 in available revenue, kind of like you're creating, right? So it's like you got to think this through. Now think about that. That would be like labor. But don't you also sell parts? Good shops are a 50-50 labor split. So you proactively calling customers and not interrupting technicians and disturbing the parts department and pissing everybody off per service writer, that's worth $200,000 a year in sales revenue. Folks, I'm here to tell you what you need to hear. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. Okay? When I tell people you need to proactively call your customers every day, the number one response is, well, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time for that because everybody's all over me. The techs are pissed. The writers are pissed. Sales is pissed. Just take the first step. Just take the first step and trust me in the process. I'm going to teach you what you need to know in this process. I'm not going to teach you what you want to hear. I'm not going to reinforce your excuses. Okay? It's not going to happen. Yes, it's going to be harder. You're going to have to double down. You're going to have to make this happen. You make this happen for 10 days, you'll notice things are different. You make this happen for 20 business days, which is almost a month, right? There's 22 business days in a month. You do this for 20 business days, you've established a habit. And remember, once you come to the other side of this, you've created yourself 2.5 to 3 hours a day that you were running around before crazy, and now you're not. Now what do you do with that? Well, you get more efficient in the way that you do your paperwork and communicate with the technicians. You get more efficient with the way that you communicate with the sales general manager and what's expected for the weekend and what's getting delivered next Tuesday and all those things. Like, if we create the time for ourselves to be able to manage our departments, our departments stop managing us. Folks, I've got these gold nuggets all over the place. And I'm going to take you back to that big shiny dealership. They do over $2.5 million a year in service prior to the training. I'm here to tell you, after the training, I think they're going to be on target for $4 million a year. That's no joke. And that's not, we don't have to get a new building. We don't have to hire new technicians. We don't have to beat up and exhaust and abuse our technicians to get those numbers. We just have to clean up some processes in our communication, and we're going to see these differences. Now, there's more to it than just what I described. We audit ROs. We teach service writers how to incorporate the 3 C's, write a better story, prevent comebacks by asking what the customer actually meant. Like there's all kinds of things that we do in the training. But to go from $2.5 million to $4 million a year in departmental revenue and not have to build a new building or hire new technicians, folks, you could sign me up all day for that. Now, go to the Powersport Academy. Go to the Powersport Academy, powersportacademy.com, and you're going to see that we've got a free course for you. Boom, I'm going to put it right there. Free getting started in service. It's free. Sign up. What are you going to lose? Nothing. You're not going to lose anything. And there's my phone. So that ends the broadcast, and it's perfect timing. Go to the powersportacademy.com, and I'll see you there. Book a call, and we'll talk about